My wife Jamie, she's the love of my life. We've been married for 12 years this November. We're best friends. We share a lot of great hobbies. Fishing's one of those things, and this trip that we took, it was almost our last trip together. So the date was June 6, 2012. We arrived at the top of Hells Canyon Dam, and then there's about a 20-30 minute hike down from the dam to the river to where you can fish.
I took the line. All of a sudden Nick hollers, "You've got a fish on!" And so I took a step back, and that step was off of the 12-foot cliff. And that's the very last thing that I remember.
I watched her fall, and as she hit, her body just went limp. I made my way down there in a matter of seconds. Once I got to her, she wasn't breathing. She didn't have a pulse, and she looked dead. We had our phones, but no service. There was another fisherman, and it turns out he had a cell phone that had service, and he was able to put in the initial 911 call.
They're coming down. They're on their way, okay?
So I get to the hospital. She was going in for surgery to actually remove a portion of her skull because her brain was swelling so severely. And at that moment, I remember thinking, we've had 12 years together. How on earth could I face 60 years without my best friend, without the love of my life? About 3.5 hours went by, and the surgeon came out and sat down with me, and he told me that he'd removed a portion of her skull, put it in her stomach. He then told me that the next 72 hours were the most critical hours in determining whether or not she would survive. So after the surgery, Jamie was medically induced in a coma for 3 days.
My very first memory is waking up in a hospital. Nick started telling me that they had to take some of your skull and they put it in your abdomen. I had never heard of anything like this before.
She was released to come home with the skull still in her stomach. The second surgery was going to happen, and there were two main concerns with that surgery. One, of course, was infection, and then the second one was that the bone would not be recognized by the body, and essentially that it would reject it.
The minute they put that skull back in my head, everything just regulated, and my body just started responding. I had more energy, my headaches were gone. For the most part, my body was healed.